What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports, and this is episode 29 of your sports sponsorship tip of the week. This week, it's a tough week for our country. For the city here in Portland, where we are. What we're seeing is a lot of anger, frustration within our communities, rightfully so. It was tough for me to just come in and do a monetization revenue tip of the week. With all that's going on, I just could not kind of bring that forward in light of what's happening. And I think, what a lot of times we may forget in sports is our sports teams are really pillars of our community. A lot of times they are ingrained in the culture of our cities and communities. And to not sort of make a statement or to take action is very telling with how in tune your community are with you and you are with your community. So I've been struggling with this. I've been struggling with how in sponsorship can we really, enact change and be a part of the solution. One big thing to also understand is our partners are also in the community. They're employers. They're where we shop. They are connected within this. So the tip of the week is this, and it's not a direct tip of the week because every community is going to be different. But what I challenge you all in sponsorship is to see how can we, as a sponsorship industry, but also sponsorship departments, how can we facilitate actionable change? And by actionable change, what I mean is public statements are great by your sports team. Absolutely, you need to do it. Absolutely, it's the right thing to do to create solidarity with the frustration that's kind of in this country and pushing toward initiatives against racism. Is another thing to actually act on it. One thing in sponsorship that we have is we have resources, meaning we have connections with our partners, and we have a megaphone through our team to be able to enact that. So the tip of the week is this: sit down with your department and have what might be uncomfortable conversation with the entire department around, hey, how can we affect change within our community towards systemic racism through our partners and ourselves? And it's a tough conversation to have because, there is this stigma that, business and politics, although I'd argue at this point it's not politics, it's just humanity, but, business and issues should stay separate. We know that that's not the fact. With our fans in the brands that we work with, they want to see that we're actually making actions and taking change. So again, sit down with your department and try and understand first what the issues are within your particular community, and then second, can ourselves and our partners create change on that? And again, take revenue and throw it away, take growth within the department and throw it away. And again, this should not be toward, hey, how can I generate revenue? But really, how can I fulfill my duty as a staple in the community with this? So, looking at initiatives, how can we get with our partners funded, maybe programs like Know Your Rights that Colin Kaepernick set up, so that, everyone can understand their rights and as a U.S. citizen when either being detained or whatever that may be, but especially minorities and underserved and underprivileged, communities within your sporting community. How can we facilitate that? How can we educate fans on, again, maybe not local elections, but why it's important for things like the census? How can we, again, start to be that facilitation of information, leverage some of the power and strength that some of these brands have, and again, create, I struggle and I hesitate to say assets, but create initiatives that we can really fall back on. And again, it's not a thing where it's, hey, McDonald's, Nike, would you like to put up $50,000 to be able to get this going? It's, hey, look, in order to run a Know Your Rights class at some of our local elementaries, it's going to cost this much in dollars. I would like you to be a part of it because you're a pillar of the community, hopefully as well as I am. And I think we can really embrace and make some change. And I think that, the teams that do that in this moment, other than just making a statement toward their fan bases of how they oppose, racism and police brutality and all of that. I think the big thing here is that's obviously a great first step, but how can we facilitate more change? And specifically, how can we do that within sponsorship? So again, tip of the week is this week. Have that tough conversation within your departments, and then have that tough conversation with your sponsors. And say, hey, look, we're looking to make some of these changes within our community. I'd love to understand and see how you all can help be a part of that. And again, take revenue out of it, take growth out of it. And again, the goal here, as we should be having in sports, is to be a representation of our communities. And I think that goes a long way as we start to get things going, as we start to move forward. How can we help facilitate that, whether it's an educational piece or initiative action piece? How can we sort of facilitate that and start hopefully healing some of our communities and helping make some of the changes? So that's your tip of the week this week. Again, it was a struggle for me not to talk about this, and I think it was important, and I think it's important for us to understand this within sponsorship. So tip of the week this week, really have those hard conversations to move forward. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Remember, keep pushing those limits within sports sponsorship.